What up, friends? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're well. Today I'm taking on 20 different hyped clone fragrances, and I'm going to be brutally tearing them apart from S tier down to D. And the way I'm going to be trying to approach this is multifaceted. So I'm going to try to take into account the price point, the performance, the quality, but also to an extent the impact the fragrance has had, because some of these have had massive impacts on the entire fragrance industry, and other ones are just kind of run-of-the-mill TikTok hype machines. And these are the fragrances on the docket today that we're gonna be judging. So I'm gonna have to rank each and every one of them. All of these linked in the description. Let's get it kicked off with Tarot the Electric. So this one is off-non, obviously. It has kind of a cool bottle, so I dig that, like a pearlescent finish to it. And this one is sort of a blue talisman fragrance, but with the twist. So it's one of those deals where as soon as you smell it, you know that it's inspired by blue talisman, but they've tried to give it like its own little flair to an extent. Now this does a lot of things right. It's clean, it's fresh, it's easy to wear, it's got kind of a soapy aspect to it, but it does some things wrong too. When it first came out, it was a little bit more on the expensive side compared to the other fragrances in the lineup. And even still to today, it's not like on the cheap side of things. Also, the performance is so-so. And when it comes to Middle Eastern fragrances, inspired by fragrances, all that stuff, people generally want it to have pretty good push. This one is more moderate. And also, it's got a lot of competition. There are other things out there that smell similar to Blue Talisman, maybe have more push to it. And maybe for certain people, they do that whole Blue Talisman thing better. And for me, this is B tier, right in the middle. It's definitely not one of the worst things out there. It's easily worn, you know, spring, summer, daytime, evening, even during the fall, it's a good pickup. But it's not hitting that A and S tier with the really good stuff. So for me, B tier. Cod Law's Icon. This one got hyped for a second there, right? I think there was a moment there it was just like everywhere. You know, it's like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, just everywhere this stuff was being talked about. Bleu de Chanel L'Exclusif is what this smells similar to. And this to me is your typical Cod Law's, okay? So it's decent, you know, it's not terrible, but the performance is not great. It smells cheaper compared to Bleu de Chanel L'Exclusif. It's not a perfect one-to-one, so you have to make some sacrifices. And there are better Bleu de Chanel L'Exclusif alternatives out there. And this one, I do think personally, is actually below the off-non. So I'm gonna put this in C tier. It's not like the worst thing out there, which is D tier. D tier is the stuff that I don't even wanna smell, I don't wanna wear, none of that. C tier is like, just okay, you know? It's fine, it's whatever, C tier. Up next, Club de Nuit Intense Man Limited Edition. Now this is a big release, because when you're talking about fragrances like this, Club de Nuit Intense Man is the biggest one that's ever been made, right? It set off the firestorm that we're standing inside of right now. And for me, this is the go-to Club de Nuit. You want that classic CDNIM Aventa style fragrance that you can wear all year round, limited edition. That's the one to get. Now, it is more expensive, so that's a drawback, but it's smoother, it smells better, it's easier wearing. It's the go-to. It's the GOAT.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
S tier. Also, I'm gonna be giving away a fragrance a little bit later in today's video, but for now, let's pick another scent to judge. We'll do this one, French Avenue Ripple. So Ripple smells similar to Y Elixir. It does have maybe a little more of like a soapy aspect to it. It's got good push, you know, super versatile. Big time compliment puller, just like Y Elixir. And really when it comes to Y Elixir, the big drawback there is the price. Like the scent itself is great. You can wear it whenever you want. It's just, it's very overpriced compared to the other Y fragrances because it's not crazy different from the other Y fragrances. I don't know if I would immediately drop everything and crown this like the king of the Y Elixir alternatives, but it is really well done. And my wife loves like anything that smells remotely similar to Y Elixir, so I mean, that helps. For me, A tier. Kind of like a tentative A tier, but that's where I'm gonna put it. Lattafa Dynasty up next. This is another one that caught fire. When this stuff came out, it was everywhere, and then kind of like, pfft, or at least that's how it felt to me. So this one is pretty interesting compared to pretty much everything else. It's got kind of its own thing going on. It smells similar to Clive Christian's Red Tea Vetiver. The tea note in here is pretty good, it's well done. Suffers a little bit from performance, again. A lot of these guys over here are suffering from performance issues. I hear there are some small, you know, chewables that you can take nowadays that should help with that. But yeah, performance-wise, Dynasty is so-so. The longevity's all right. The projection, a little bit more subtle overall compared to, you know, what most people are gonna expect. Price is all right, about 30 bucks. Not really something I personally like the smell of a whole heck of a lot though. Overall, Dynasty for me, I think fits in pretty well in B tier. It's clearly to me higher quality than Cod Lodge Icon. It's not something I necessarily want to wear all that much, so I can't put it up here. B tier, maybe on the lower end of B. I think I'd rather wear the Offnon than the Lattafa between these two. Not really apples to apples, but. This next one is called Kraka by Bujarami. Yeah, Bujarami coming at us with the fragrance that in the US means something very different from Australia. Kraka. That's, that's a good name, yeah. And I gotta tell you guys, I did not bother to look up what this was supposed to be a dupe of before I bought it. I basically just went to FragranceNet and picked up 6 more. And the name kind of, jumped out at me. So I was like, okay, well, let's see what Kraka is. It's got this cool color scheme. It's like red going down to kind of a yellow at the bottom. It looks nice. And this is supposed to be inspired by Sultan No. 9. No breakdown, really simple: musk, sandalwood, apples, and oud. That's it. And you wanna know what's really funny? The fragrance that this is a dupe of is like a $28 fragrance on JOMASHOP. So they were like, you know what we really need to do? We need to clone that $28 fragrance and charge people 50 bucks MSRP for it. Like, what are you doing? To be fair, I didn't pay that much at FragranceNet. It was like 25 or something like that, but still, I don't think you need to do that. If the scent is 30 bucks, I don't really want a 30-buck dupe of it. D tier. Also, I just think the fragrance sucks. So obviously, I wouldn't like the original either. I haven't smelled the original, to be fair. So I'm solely basing this just off how this stuff smells to me. As this stuff settles in, it takes on more of like a musky grandma scent profile to it. I know you could probably convince yourself like, no, it's high quality, it's high tier, it's this, it's that. Everybody I had smell this today thought it sucked. I don't like it either, D tier. Linked Freedom by Offnon. So this is a good old combo deal. You're getting 2 for 1 here, bro. It starts off smelling like myself. As it dries down, it gets more like the Most Wanted. You can wear this stuff pretty much everywhere. The versatility is fantastic. This is great. S tier. Don't have too much to say about that, just one of the better hybrid style fragrances out there. This stuff rules. Now the next one is a massive hype monster. We're talking unchained levels of hype. But does it actually suck though? Before that fragrance though, you know what time it is. It's code time. Boom! There they are. They're also in the description. You can copy and paste if you would rather do that instead of typing. That's easier. Control or Command C, and then the same thing, V. Copy paste. So I got codes for Fragflex, JOMASHOP, Perfume Box, Gift Express, and many more stores, even Maple Prime and Fragrance Load. So anytime you're shopping at those stores, use those codes, save some extra cash. Rayhon, Azul. Like I said, the hype on this, through the roof. Into the heavens, around the planets, into another galaxy. That's what we're talking about. I like the color scheme of the bottle. It looks sick, looks really nice. The atomizer, pretty good. The scent itself smells similar to Dior Homme Cologne. The opening here is really nice. Citrusy, fresh, clean, just like Dior Homme Cologne. Really well done. If you like that type of scent, you're gonna very much like this one. Things like Jimmy Choo Man Ice also, you could get kind of in that vein for cheap. Now the big hype point behind this, and it makes total sense why, is performance. Dior Homme Cologne is not really well known for being a monster of a scent. So if you can take that Dior Homme Cologne scent profile, the way it smells, but instead of lasting 4 hours, it's lasting 12 or 16 while still projecting, yeah, you crack the code. You, sir, are a genius. But does this do that off my skin? Nah, not really. Smells great. Absolutely love the way it smells. But I feel like if you're going into it expecting massive staying power and projection, you're probably not gonna be ultra pumped with it. For me, B tier. If it nailed that whole projection, longevity thing, I'd put it S tier. I'd put it up here. If it were noticeably a lot stronger, like a whole lot stronger than Dior Homme Cologne, but not crazy, probably put it in A tier. But I think it's just, it's like just pushed a little further than Dior Homme Cologne, not a whole heck of a lot further. And so B tier. Detour Noir, right here, Haramain. You can see that most all of the writing is gone. The sticker stuff that they put on the front for the name, it evaporates. Leighton, that's what this smells similar to. really the first big latent alternative. I think this stuff still smells great. The price point is good. It was a massive release. I think that the line has fallen off a little bit. You know, they came out with some flankers like Detour Noir Exclusive, for example, but they didn't hit quite the same way for a lot of people, and in general, Haramain has fallen off a little bit. Just as far as like huge releases, I mean to say, obviously they're still around. The opening, a lot of people find harsh, so that is a little bit of a detriment. I'm gonna put it in A tier. I think if you're looking for absolute best bang for buck, like you don't wanna spend much, that's a really good latent alternative. If you're looking for the best latent alternative, there are other ones out there better than that one. Your Touch Tobacco by Maison Alhambra. Smells similar to Stronger With You tobacco, and actually in terms of the scent profile, it's pretty good. Keeping in mind this stuff is absolutely dirt cheap. It costs almost nothing, like most Maison Alhambras. It is also very, very weak. And you could just say, well, it's really, really inexpensive though, so just spray more, respray it. And yeah, I mean, fair enough, but this is an alternative to Stronger With You tobacco. And you see the beginning of that name is Stronger. Yeah, it doesn't say piss poor weaker with you, which is what this is. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier, not in D, because as far as the smell versus the price, it's actually pretty good. It's just really, really weak. Hawass London, you already know what's going on here. D. Can you say that it smells classy? Sure, you can say that. It does smell a little bit more upmarket than some of the other Hawass fragrances, that's fair. Do I wanna wear that? Do I wanna smell like that? No, I don't. It smells similar to Brompton's Immortal, so it's right in that style, but it's gonna give you a bit of like a grandma soapy kind of aspect. So we've got two kind of, you know, old lady vibes going on here in the D tier. Shout out to all the grandmas out there. Grandma's so important. Doesn't mean I wanna smell like them. Sorry, ladies. Up next, Raiz Twilight Aura from Arabi Got Prestige oversized bottle. That's nice because you get more for less. Smells similar to Herba Pura, which I've not always been the biggest fan of, you know, the original Herba Pura. There are other fragrances kind of in that style that I like a lot more than the one that kind of kicked it off, that whole tropical fruit bowl sweetness. But I do have to say, as far as the bang for buck here, it's really, really, really good. Because like I said, 180 mils, 6 ounces, and it goes for pretty much the same price that these other ones go for that are, you know, almost half the size. And if you really like Herba Pura, this is probably your best bet out there as far as how much you get versus what you pay versus the quality, but the cap doesn't stay on super well apparently. Atomizer's pretty good though, so I mean, you know, there's that, it's a trade-off. For this type of scent, this tropical kind of vibe, A tier. I think it's really well done. Another Rayhon, Terra. This one not more of a recent hype beast, but it was heavily hyped when it first came out. And it has the exact same style of bottle, just a different color scheme. It smells similar to Outlands by Amouage. So basically the polar opposite of this one right here. This is much more of a niche leaning fragrance. And instead of just having a few notes, it's got maybe a few too many notes, which I don't say very often. The performance is great. It's definitely more of a niche leaning scent profile, a little bit more of a grown up scent profile. But I think as far as the quality here, it's great. One of the best things that Rayhon has put out. I'd put it up here in S tier, with the caveat that it's not a great everyday fragrance. This is more of like a special type thing. Gladius by Nusuk. So this one right here, didn't expect a whole heck of a lot from. This is one where I just threw a bunch of crap, frankly, into a shopping cart and said, let's roll the dice. And this is one of the things that came out of said purchase. Now, the fragrance itself smells similar to Forever Wanted Elixir. And I actually think it's really, really, really good. The opening is very centered on the raspberry, more so in here than the original. And one thing I want to point out with this fragrance, which I think is really, really crazy just with this one in particular, the Fragrantica page is nuts. Now, I absolutely don't want people to go on there and just like do the opposite and, you know, review bomb it the other way or whatever, but yeah, like this has a 4.9 or something like that on there, which is completely unheard of. And if you look at the ratings, you know, it's like eternal in terms of the longevity and enormous as far as the projection and all this stuff. So obviously, you know, they've gone in there and just like everything, the best, the best, the best, the best. Now that said, it smells absolutely freaking amazing. This stuff is great as far as how it comes across. I wouldn't say it's weak, but it's not like the crazy strongest thing either. But just with how much I enjoy the way this stuff smells, I'm gonna put it in the A tier, maybe a little bit closer toward the B tier just because of the whole ratings thing. but still A tier because it smells that good. 6 more, I'm gonna do this a little bit faster. Zamaya Sharaf Blend. So this one sometimes gets lost in the clutter because there are so many fragrances out there that look like Angel Share type scents or Kamra type scents. This is one of the better ones. This stuff smells freaking awesome. I think side by side with Kamra, this may actually be the better fragrance when you take into account quality, performance, everything else under the sun. But it gets overlooked all the time. For me, S tier. This stuff is really, really good. So from my point of view, if you would say, oh, Kamra, you know, has to be an S because of how big it is, and that's fair enough. This has to be an S too because it smells just as good, if not better. Hawass again, this time Overdose. All right, so Overdose smells similar to Altair by PDM. It is late to the game. You know, most of the other ones have been out for 2 years already. It doesn't necessarily smell better when you do a side-by-side with all the other alternatives out there, but it is pretty strong. Off my skin, this has really nice performance. I think I'm gonna put it in B tier, high B tier, kind of bordering with A tier. I'd say if the performance is really important to you, you could bump that up and that'd be fine, you know, move it up to A tier. But as far as giving something really new, it's late to the party and not really changing things all that much, which is why I have it here in B. You know, it's really good, it's solid, but maybe not like, Another Bougie Rami, this one is called Roots, Bloody Roots. Oh no, oh, it's just Roots. That's a different thing, yeah. Like I said, I ordered a bunch of these. Some were actually worse than this. Some were better. Actually, one was really good. I Have Money, which is a great name. I Have Money. But that one smells similar to Ombre Leather, and that one's actually pretty solid. This one smells similar to Tam Dao by Diptyque, and it's okay. I think it smells better than this one, but it's also weak. At least off my skin when I wore this, it didn't really push much. It didn't last that long, which to be fair, you know, talking about the original that it's based off of, you know, you can get kind of the same thing going on there. So I'm gonna have to put it here in C tier, mainly because of that, the performance issues. If it lasted longer, if it projected more, it's good enough that it would be in B tier, I feel like. I don't know that I'd bump it all the way up to A, but it would comfortably be here. Australia Magma Ember Dusk. So this one is Naxos, and this is another one of those ones that kind of got a massive push when it first came out, and I gotta put it down here. I guess I should spray it on again. It's been a minute since I've smelled this one. You could maybe convince me to bump it up to C, maybe. I just think of all the big Naxos alternatives that came out, which there were a lot that came out like pretty much the same time. That was the one that impressed me the least. It leans more floral, more powdery. The honey doesn't come across as sticky and sweet in here as it does some of the other ones. And it doesn't quite nail the aromatic aspects that Naxos has either. But I would probably rather wear that than the other two. We're being harsh, D. Mykonos Conquer. When I first got this in, I would say B tier. That's where I would put this. First time I wore it, B tier. For sure. It didn't have quite the sparkle that I want in a fragrance that smells similar to this, which by the way, Myself Absolute, that's what this is inspired by. It had solid staying power. It's an extrait de parfum, you know, so it's gonna stick around for a while, but it didn't have quite the lift that I wanted. But then I did the whole rigmarole, you know, let the bottle sit for a little bit, come back to it and all that stuff. Got way, way, way nicer. And so at that point, it's basically like, well, do you like Myself Absolute? Do you want that a little bit stronger? That's kind of the whole vibe here, and I know that's the vibe, like I've said with a bunch of these, that's kind of the whole thing. That's not really anything new. Oh, it's that fragrance, but stronger. Wow, I've never heard that before, you know, it's like, but it is done very well. The quality is nice, and assuming you can pick it up for a good price, you don't get ripped off. It's a really, really, really good pickup. Beauty House is now the spot for Mykonos, so that's where you would go to scoop this one, assuming it's not sold out, you know, knock on wood. Some people do try to flip these for just crazy prices on eBay. So if you go there and it's like 90 bucks, 120 bucks, I think I've seen them at like 160. You know, you just keep moving it down this direction, okay? For each additional 30 bucks, just hop one tier or two tiers that way, right? But at normal prices, I'm gonna have to put it up here, S tier. That does what most people want their fragrances to do. Versatility, wearability, performance, the whole deal. Liam Gray, gonna wrap everything up. Lattafa. Gris Charnel right here, really, really affordable. Smells really nice for the price. It's maybe not as hyped as some of the like biggest Lattafas, but this is one that if you know fragrances, you probably know this. And even though it's maybe not as loud as some stuff out there, it's really well done. It's gotta go in A tier for sure. And there we go, S-A BCD, I'm not changing anything, because if you start to overthink it, it becomes a whole mess. Giveaway, Club de Nuit Intense Man. This is the OG right here, the Eau de Toilette. Still sealed and everything. What's the manufacture date? 1125. Been aged for you. So if you want to be entered in the giveaway for this fragrance, all you have to do is like the video, be subscribed to the channel, leave me a comment. In the comment, let me know what is your go-to alternative dupe inspired by clone fragrance. I'll pick a winner with random comment picker, post it up on the post tab of the YouTube channel. If you're the winner, hit me up, I'll ship that out to you. I want to thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, take care of yourselves. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.
Thank you.